welcome to Personal Finance. I'm Gugulethu Cele. Today we speak to the Tax Ombud of South Africa. Now, many of you might not be familiar with this particular office, but that's the reason why we have them in here today, to give us more details. And I'm joined by the Chief Executive of the Tax Ombud, that's Advocate Eric Mkhawane, to give us more details. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. I'd like us to get into the background of the Tax Ombudsman. Not many consumers might be familiar with this particular office, but what does it entail, when was it formed, and why does it matter?
Firstly, I mean, as you know, SARS has got very wide powers, and most of the times, you know, people don't really have the know-how, and if they have complaints, they don't know where to rush to. So the Office of the Tax Ombud was set up, in fact, in terms of the Tax Administration Act, which was passed in 2011, but only, you know, the office was only established in 2013, in October, when they appointed the Tax Ombud himself, the retired judge, president of the North and South Gauteng High Courts, Judge Bennett Mwepe. So he was appointed in 2013. Now, obviously, the main purpose of the office is to try to service clients, I mean taxpayers who have complaints against SARS. You would recall that an ombud is somebody who's supposed to be independent, impartial, and normally will address complaints against an agency. And in this regard, it's obviously SARS. So taxpayers who have complaints, and the complaints may be complaints of a service nature, procedural nature, and administrative nature. So those are the kind of complaints that that our office, the Office of the Tax Ombud, will look at.
What about the relationship, though, with the South African Revenue Service and the Tax Ombud? Is it a cordial relationship?
The Tax Ombud is independent. He's appointed by the minister, and specifically the Act says he's appointed by the minister. So SARS does not have a say in terms of who gets appointed as a Tax Ombud. He reports directly to the minister. So the entire office reports to the minister. It doesn't report to SARS. So we both report to the same minister at the end of the day. So it's one of those entities falling under the Minister of Finance.
You mentioned that taxpayers can complain. Which taxpayers in particular? Are you talking more individuals or corporate taxpayers?
It's just anybody. Any taxpayer can complain. So we have individuals, and in fact most of the complaints come from individuals on their own, unrepresented, because our office is very user-friendly. Our services are free. And so it's about 70% will come from individuals directly. So you have also entities, corporates, large corporates have approached our office. They have used our services. You have small, medium-sized businesses that do come. Sometimes it's them unrepresented, but yes, the tax practitioners as well bring clients to our office. So it doesn't matter who, as long as it's a taxpayer.
It would be nice if you could give us a walkthrough of the typical complaints that you often receive from taxpayers. What do they entail?
Look, it's the complaints vary, but you have, for example, people who are complaining about the refunds, that SARS has taken too long in resolving their complaints or paying back the refund. You have issues. Maybe let me just say a bit about the refund. Recently, we had somebody who had been owed by SARS for many years, I think it's about 8 years now. So they were going back and forth, and nobody could explain exactly what happened. With our intervention, and SARS had to resolve. And within a few days after lodging a complaint with us, the matter was resolved.
Yeah.
So we have those kind of things. And you may have a situation where a person says, look, I've given SARS this information. They did not capture it correctly when they were capturing. And so it put me in a debt situation where I'm owing SARS.
And the turnaround time for these complaints and the processes involved, how quickly do you respond to some of the taxpayers' complaints?
Our target for the turnaround in terms of complaints is 15 working days.
Sure.
So what we have worked out is we understand taxpayers, by the time they come to our offices, they are frustrated. So we don't want to make them more frustrated. So 15 working days is our target date. However, it's not every complaint that will be resolved within 15 working days. As you know, there may be other issues, complex issues. It may be a situation, for example, where a taxpayer or SARS, we've made a recommendation to SARS and SARS does not have a proper answer, or does not have an answer, or does not know how to deal with it. They may resort to seeking legal opinion. And under those cases, obviously, by nature, they will take much longer.
It's interesting you mentioned again the relationship between the Tax Ombud and SARS. Do you often find at times that SARS cooperates with the level of complaints that you receive, or do you have to use some kind of piece of legislation to actually push them into a corner to get them to cooperate in some of the cases that you deal with?
No legal intervention. So far we are busy regulating our relationship through a memorandum of understanding. Okay. So that can regulate the timelines. So when we say this is a complaint, we'll expect a response within a specified period, so that in a way we may be able to address the issues quicker. So there hasn't been any situation where we had to resort to any other form of coercion, let me put it that way. So we have a very good working relationship. The commissioner is committed to working well with his team, him and his team, to work well with our office.
To come back to the kind of complaints that you receive, are South African taxpayers typical and full of complaints without ensuring that they have their ducks in a row to make the case of the Tax Ombud a lot easier?
Look, so far of the complaints that we receive, I may indicate to you that most of those that fall within our mandate, 80% have been in favor of the taxpayers. So it shows that taxpayers are not simply complaining. They have issues. So when they come to us, we address those issues. And only 20%, the trend so far, has been in favor of SARS. So, and we compared that internationally, and we've found that internationally that's around the average. And in some cases, 90% against the Revenue Authority. So it shows. However, there are instances where maybe the taxpayers come to us prematurely. Now, because they have to first exhaust the SARS internal processes before they can come to us. So we are an office of the last resort for a taxpayer. So to make it simple, people need to make sure that they have exhausted, they've raised the issue with SARS, but the Act provides for exceptions. So if, for example, a person has got very serious hardships because of the issue that is facing with SARS, they may approach our office directly. So we call that compelling circumstances. So if a person has got compelling circumstances, take, for example, a small business has got a refund. They depend on the cash flow for running their operations, and SARS is dragging its feet. They did not wait too long until things go wrong. They can approach our offices once a specified period has lapsed.
For the benefit, though, of the viewer that's watching the show tonight and who might have a potential case against SARS, what particular processes and measures do they need to ensure that they cover and basically need to do in order to approach the Office of the Tax Ombud to submit their complaints to you?
First of all, we have a complaints form. This is available on our website, and if I may also mention the website's address is www.taxombud.gov.za. Now, in that website, there's a complaints guide. It takes a person on a step-by-step basis on how to lodge a complaint. It explains also our mandate, that complaints guide, and it will also explain some of our limitations, because we're not dealing with every single complaint. The Act, because we are a creature of statute, it specifies exactly what our mandate is. And so there's a complaints form which must be completed. So if a person is acting in a representative capacity, like tax professionals representing a taxpayer, they need to also supply us with the power of attorney. And once that form is completed, it can either be mailed or faxed or even posted to our offices. And in that website, you find everything. And also, if there are people who do not have access to all these things, so they can use our toll-free number, which is 0800 662 837. Now, I must emphasize, we offer the services for free. So you, the taxpayer, if you have a complaint, you are funding our office, so you can call on us to assist you.
As long as you pay your taxes, you can complain for free, I take
Well,
it.
yes. I mean, let's put it that way. But I mean, we're not saying we're going to check first if you are up to date with your taxes or not. But I mean, it's not for us. But as long as you're a taxpayer, you can use our services for free.
I'd like to throw in a spanner into the mix now for the moment, which would be the tax-free savings accounts, which were recently launched in South Africa. Should a particular consumer have a complaint about the product or the pricing or the terms and conditions attached to a particular tax-free savings offering, would they be able to come to your office to complain about such?
Well, if it's a complaint that deals with the issues that a taxpayer is facing regarding SARS, yes. But if it's a complaint against an institution, then it falls outside our mandate. And you know, there's a bank, the ombudsman for the banking institutions, may be the right institution to approach.
Thank you so much for your time today, sir, for telling us about all things tax as well as the involvement of the Tax Ombud. That's a big thank you to the Chief Executive of the Tax Ombud in South Africa, Advocate Eric Mkhawane. Now, that's where we leave it for tonight for Personal Finance, but be sure to get in touch with us. You can send us any of your comments or suggestions and even your tax questions to @CNBC Africa using the hashtag Finance410 or to myself @Gugulethu on Twitter. Until next time, take care until we talk more on personal finance.